This book is called The Puzzle, a Samantha Jameson mystery. Book 1. Chapter 1. Obsession. My letter to my dead husband. Stephen. For the first time, I find I'm at a loss for words to describe exactly how I feel. I need somewhere to park my anger, and even though you'll never read this, I need something tangible in my hands, written in black and white. When I look back, I thought we had some kind of life together. Maybe not a great one, but at least in the beginning, one I thought was worth my emotional investment. Now, I'm not so sure. And the big shocker? I didn't expect to be a widow. It stopped me cold. How and why did this happen? It now dictates my search for the truth, regardless of what the truth might turn out to be. I need a better understanding of where things went wrong. Initially, I felt vulnerable, but not for long. Not when I learned of your betrayal. Not when I discovered your deception. Not when I realized you used your lies and my anxiety to manipulate me. Why did you do it? Enough of my naviette and making excuses for your odd behavior. Our last conversation, your confusing remarks, still bewilder me. What strange bedfellows we ultimately became. Me with my ignorance, and you with your secretive duplicity. It still takes my breath away. Samantha. I felt like I was losing it as my fingers flew across my computer keyboard typing away. Would my obsession to learn the truth about Stephen be the death of me? Little had I known when I'd first started this book of mine that it would be the death of him instead. I paused to sip my wine, thinking it through as I sat on my front porch with my laptop on my lap. The light from the day was fading fast, and a chill was creeping in. I pulled my jacket tighter and stared at the blinking cursor on my screen. As an author of contemporary fiction, I wasn't writing the great American novel, just another book about commitment and making choices. Pretty straightforward, right? No, not this time. All bets were off. My concentration stank. I checked my watch. Time was ticking away, and my novel was way behind schedule. I saved my letter to Stephen and opened another document. I had barely begun my latest novel, though my deadline was looming. I tried once again. Doubt and fear shadowed me as I proceeded down the hall, trying to feel brave, listening carefully. I moved slowly by the first room, then the second, stealing a quick look in each. His death did that to me, made me uneasy ever since I discovered there were no lifetime guarantees on anything or anyone. Those were just words that made you feel safe and secure. I flicked on the landing light, then the hallway switch off, tentatively glancing behind me. But all I heard was the same conversation resounding from our past. I don't have time right now, Stephen had snapped. I've got to catch that plane. Let's get a move on or I'm going to miss it. We'll sit down and talk when I get back. I knew the drill. That's the problem. You always say that. He turned back to me, grabbing my shoulders. I'm sorry. I swear this time I mean it. I have to tie up a few loose ends and have a feeling everything will go my way. And if it doesn't, well, you know me. I'll still manage to cover all my bases. I searched his intense, unreadable eyes, not willing to let it go. But what about us? Stephen smiled. We'll always have us, he reasoned. Was I overreacting? I tried yet again. But, Stephen, His smile abruptly vanished as he released me. Samantha, don't push. This is important to me. Now drop it. He glanced down at his watch. Let's go. He turned, grabbed his bag, and walked toward the car, calling over his shoulder. Are you coming? You have to drop me off at the airport, remember? I stood there, staring down that hallway, recalling his words. How could I have forgotten them and all the anger that still lingered? I closed my eyes briefly, took a deep breath, and moved on. How many times had I gone down this hallway? I counted the familiar footsteps. Always 24, then 6. So predictable, just like our arguments. I descended to the landing, and I was about to swing to the right and go down those last steps, but stopped. Something caught my eye, and I turned to the left. There on the wall hung a familiar red-framed picture. Another reminder of my former life. The one that used to include Stephen and me. I was still trying to piece together something I may have overlooked. How could I have been so oblivious? What had I assumed was secure had been unexpectedly reduced to nothing. Poof! Right for the jugular. Just like that. Stephen, why did you die? Why did you lie? Were you dishonest with me from the beginning? These considerations were long overdue. I was finally questioning his motives and confronting mine. How could I change my future if I didn't understand his past?